BPH Energy is an ASX listed company. It has three principal areas of investment which are of interest to the viewers in this presentation. One is Advent Energy, the other is Clean Hydrogen Technologies, and the other is Cortical Dynamics. Clean Hydrogen is involved in turquoise hydrogen production together with carbon composite. Cortical Dynamics in medtech and anesthesia monitoring, and I'll now discuss Advent Energy as a key component of our value. When you look at the entities that BPH is invested in, Advent is by far our largest investment. Now, Australia is in the midst of an energy transition and an energy supply crisis, and in particular, a gas supply crisis. When Minister King initiated a future gas strategy consultation in October last year, the statement that she made was decreasing gas supply faster than demand will lead to shortages, supply disruptions and high prices. And that's the point that we've reached. And the Albanese government, as we see in that editorial in the Australian of January this year, is scrambling to ensure there's enough gas to meet electricity demand. Equally, gas will keep the economy running when renewables will not. And the reliable supply of gas is crucial to keeping energy prices down for households and businesses. Now, what happened post that, in fact, is we've had, or rather in the last 4 months, we have had blackouts in South Australia, Victoria, Queensland, and as you see in December of just last year gone, households across New South Wales were told to reduce electricity usage on the 14th of December as the temperature soared, and we've had a similar strain on the state's energy power supply in the very recent past. So here's a really key point. Blackouts leave tens of thousands in the Northern Territory without power, and that was as a result of the gas that powers the majority of power into the Northern Territory running out or running low in the major supply on blacktip. And that's a really significant issue for Australia, because that meant that the other areas that were called upon to supply gas into the network. Now, we're in the midst of a position where the Bass Strait gas fields are through a 50% reduction in this current 4-year period, starting 1 to 2 years ago and going through into the next 2 years. The key thing in that is that Bass Strait gas fields have supplied the bulk of gas to Eastern Australia for the last 60 years. And in doing so, they've used up 6 TCF of gas. And so we really see these statements out of AEMO in their gas statement of opportunities is we have continued risks of short-term gas supply shortfalls and long-term gas supply gaps. And that's going to extend right out until 2037. I'll address that in further detail. So as the GSO report says, production is projected to decline significantly, with much of the decline occurring in the Gippsland Basin. Now, in the gas user submissions to the Deezer gas inquiry that I opened with, you see here a broad spread of major industrial groups giving their view on what the current position is. Aluminium, the Australian domestic gas market needs additional diversity of supply. Australian Energy Council, the East Coast gas market needs continuing development of new sources of gas supply. Australian Steel, insufficient competition amongst suppliers. Energy Australia, without significant investment in new supply, we also face the risk of gas shortfalls. And Business New South Wales, Business New South Wales has long been concerned that the decisions about gas supply, particularly in New South Wales, have become detached from understanding of gas demand, leaving potential for gas shortfalls and price rises. They're the key elements of what's going on in our gas market. And Advent has one of 2 permits on the east coast of Australia that can supply gas potentially into New South Wales, which currently brings in 100% of its gas needs from other states. And that's a crucial element to those statements that you see in the previous slide. Now I'll move just to clean hydrogen technology. We have just under, across BPH and Advent, we have just under a 20% investment in this turquoise hydrogen. The real key to that is in the value enhancement from clean carbon black from carbon nanotubes. And I'll move to that because in February of this year, we made a release on the ASX and we said, we're finding in the production of the turquoise hydrogen that we're getting a carbon composite that has got mechanical properties to, that is the carbon nanotubes, which reinforce the alumina composite, acting as a toughening agent. Now, the key to understanding that value is that it's got a tensile strength greater than steel and conductivity greater than copper, and an excellent thermal dissipation, and they resist corrosion and fatigue. What that means is that those products can be sold for perhaps $50 to $100 per kilogram. It really lifts the value proposition potentially for clean hydrogen. I'll move to cortical, and I'll just address cortical. Of course, this is an anesthesia monitoring, and we're looking now at generation 2, which will be the go-to-market product. Generation 1 is FDA, CE, TGA, and Korean market approved. And now we're looking to take the enhancements across software, hardware, sensors, screens into verification with each of those regulatory authorities. That's where the value enhancement can come. We already have an agreement with Philips who have their screens in over 50% of worldwide operating theatres, that we can work with them with our technology. Now, just a couple of quick points to take you through. When you look at this, which was in the Deezer gas inquiry paper, you see here that supply drops dramatically out to 2034 from the next 2 years. And by 2034, we're 800 petajoules a year short. And what does that mean? The gas-fired power is to increase to 16 gigawatts out to 2050 from an existing 10 gigawatts of gas-fired power in this latest ISP from AEMO. Now, when you look at this on a state-by-state basis, you'll see that 800 petajoules is more than all of the combined domestic gas usage in Victoria, New South Wales, Northern Territory, South Australia and Tasmania, and even part of Queensland. So we either cut off supply on this scenario into all the domestic users, or we cut off at significant risk to our international status contracts for supply of LNG into the international marketplace to customers including Japan, Korea and Singapore. So this is where the project offshore New South Wales has potential national significance. When you look at LNG on a global basis, you see that, in fact, by out to 2032, you will also see an excess of demand over supply right across the globe. These are key things. When you look at the gas supply network, the pipeline from Northern Territory was shut down. and they were shut down for an extended period over the last year or so. And so, in fact, you can see the importance when you look at that network of the reduction in supply out of Victoria. That brings us to the New South Wales, and as I said, there are only 2 permit areas in New South Wales now that potentially can assist New South Wales in its gas supply issues. So we have a substantial permit with 5.7 TCF in structural targets. We're currently waiting for NOPTA to enable the drilling as the next step through the Joint Authority. We have a gas target there, and that shows up with the vitrinite maturity factors. And in New South Wales, 300,000 jobs rely on gas supply. It supplies around 1.3 million households and 33,000 businesses. We also have the potential for CCS in that project area, offshore New South Wales. I'll finish at that point. Thank you for listening, and this is our disclaimer. Thank you indeed.